Welcome to Drone Brothers Radio, where we explore the crossroads of drone innovation and the construction industry. Join us as we share insights, stories, and strategies shaping the future from the sky and the ground up.
Mike, thanks for joining me today on Drone Brothers Radio. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. Let's quickly start off. Give us your name and your company to get started.
No problem. Andy, thanks for having me this afternoon. My name is Mike Milioto. I'm the founder and creator of Skyhawk Survey Solutions. We're a disabled veteran-owned small business based out of Northern Virginia, and our mission is to specialize in providing training and employment opportunities for the disabled veteran community.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about your background. How long ago were you in the military? What did you do for the military? And give us as much background as you want to share with us.
Sure. I joined the Army in 2001, 2 months before 9/11 occurred. From there, started as an engineer. I deployed on 2 separate combat deployments to Iraq. And just rebuilding Iraq's infrastructure and, a lot of humanitarian missions. I got out of the military in 2006, and I was looking for to start my next career, and with previous trauma, with PTSD and previous substance abuse issues. I saw a career in the drone industry was a way for me to treat my disabilities and find a calming, soothing relief to overcoming these disabilities. So, the purpose of my company is to, just kind of tell the story of, where I've been, because I feel like I have, a lot of relation to other veterans, that are getting out from deployments and having to deal with, stressful and, aggressive environments. So, I felt like this was a way for me to reconnect with the veteran community and, also try to help people along the way.
So 2001 to 2006. So thank you for your service, first of all. And what happened after the military? When did you first discover drones?
Sure. Yeah. So, got out in 2006. I went to school on my GI Bill. And, part of the reason at the time, in 2006, the drone industry was, still, in baby steps. And, so about, I'd say 6 months ago in the summertime, I currently work full time for the federal government. So within the past year, I noticed that, being, employed by the federal government, with funding and things of that nature, there's really, it's not really, stable as it used to be, and I felt that, I was in between contracts in the summertime. So for 2 months, I was, looking, to get on with the next job and everything. And, I started, to look at videos on YouTube and do more research into what does it take for someone to become a licensed, pilot with the FAA. So, I saw the Part 107. I studied for about 2 weeks with the FAA material. I passed on the first try. So, I noticed, while I was studying and while I was, looking at videos on YouTube that, a lot of people make it seem easy where, once you get your Part 107, then that automatically grants you an opportunity to get a job in the drone industry. So I saw that wasn't the case. And, I felt that it was kind of like a calling for me to start this company to kind of, teach others, that there are opportunities out there if you work hard enough for it.
Got it. Jerry, what were some of the challenges that you faced coming out of the military? But your backstory is fantastic.
Sure. No, absolutely. So, doing 2 back-to-back combat deployments to Iraq, I spent a total a little over 2 years between both times. I noticed that I wasn't the same person, before I went in. So I just noticed, a lot of things would, set me off. I'd have sort of a short fuse, a lot of aggression, a lot of anger. And, at the time, I didn't really understand what was going on because it just felt like, that military structure was over. So, I started to self-medicate with alcohol, thinking that would be a way for me to, kind of treat it and kind of numb myself to, things that occurred. And I just noticed that, it was just the wrong, way to handle it. I always had the support of the veteran community, people that I've served with, just people, that you connect with on the street. When you see them, you know that they have been through the same as you. So a lot of people, they take up martial arts. A lot of people go to the gym. A lot of people, deal with that stress the way that they do. But I noticed that, once I started to fly a drone, I felt like my concentration. I felt like a different type of calm when I had aircraft in the air. So as I was flying, and once I got my Part 107 certification, I just felt like this could be an opportunity to show other people that this can be a way to kind of like a safe way to treat PTSD and people that are, have substance abuse issues. So
What is your gut telling you as far as what percentage of people come out of the military are having these challenges? Is this are 5% of the people coming out having these challenges, or half the people that come out of the military have these?
yeah. So I would say, with different eras, like of deployments and and being in combat, from Vietnam to Desert Storm to Iraq War. I feel like at any age, somebody that's been through multiple deployments like that would kind of exhibit behaviors of like increasing aggression and things like that. So yeah, I just felt that if I myself am looking for a safe way to kind of live like a healthier lifestyle, live a certain way, I feel like this is an opportunity for me to kind of show other people that this can be the drone industry can be a way where you can kind of treat it and also earn a living for yourself and your family.
Nice. Did you have any experience in the military? Were drones around when you were in the military? You had any experience flying like military drones? Did you?
And no, not at all.
Okay.
So I joined the army. I was an engineer, combat engineer. And yeah, so I always know that drones existed, but I didn't know that the only thing that was stopping me from starting a career in the drone industry was signing up at a test center, paying $175 to the FAA and passing a Part 107 exam. So I just felt like this was a great opportunity for me to learn a new skill. And yeah, I really enjoy learning more. And it's a way for you to concentrate, even when you're flying, the videos and the photos and videos that you're taking, the amount of attention to detail that you have, which all veterans do, where they're able to color grade the photos, make them like professional quality photos. I would just say, when you're flying, veterans are able to make quick decisions under stressful situations. So, if you do have an in-flight emergency or if there's something that comes up, you're able to react quickly. And I just felt that, when you're flying a drone, you're in total control.
Yeah. So talk about some of the reasons of why. I mean, there's most people start a company because they want to go make some money, or because it becomes a side hustle. This is your company is a lot more than that. So talk about some of the reasons of why you started the company to help out help out the veterans.
It is. So for me, as I was studying, I didn't even have the idea of starting a company or anything at the time. It was just to try to learn a new skill. um but I felt that like me being what I went through in my life, and I feel like I was given a second chance, and I want to kind of pay it forward, because the veteran community has always been there for me, whether it's through organizations like Wounded Warrior Project or Semper Fi Fund. Every time that I needed a resource or needed somebody to talk to, they were always there for me. So this company would be a way for me to kind of give back to everybody that can benefit from a program like this, where a veteran with zero knowledge in the drone industry can go through our training course and then pass the get certified as a drone pilot. With their GI Bill benefits, we can assist them at no cost, where they can purchase a drone, they can purchase all their training equipment, even down to the $175 exam fee can be reimbursed through our Skyhawk Veteran Pathway Program.
Beautiful. So, yeah, so I'm sure what you found out along the way and what most veterans find out that try to start a business is there's a lot more to it than just buying a drone and
Yeah.
opening up an LLC. So you want to talk about some of the challenges you faced or some of the things you've learned that you want to be able to share with future guys
Yeah,
that want to start the business to kind of speed up their whole process.
absolutely. I mean, it just takes time, being a new pilot. Like I said, I got my Part 107 back in July, so it takes time, and you kind of got to have that ability to, continue to fly and continue to get better and continue to grow. There's a lot of veterans that don't even utilize their GI Bill benefits. I think it's like 38% of eligible veterans don't even take advantage of it, and there's maybe 600 to 700,000 veterans a year that have access to their GI Bill benefits. And I think, according to the Department of Veterans Affairs, only 1% use it for some form of flight training. So this is a program that I really feel good about, because if I would have got out in 2006 knowing that there's a program available where I don't have to go to school for 4 years to obtain a degree, only to search for a career or a job. If I could do a one time cost of getting a drone, getting all my training, and then getting certified, and then ultimately getting employed in the drone industry by companies like yourself, I feel like I would totally take advantage of opportunity like that if it was available to me at that time.
What are some of the kind of top 3 benefits of the GI Bill that most vets don't know about? What would you share with vets today that are coming out that they should be taking advantage of and that they're missing out on with the GI Bill?
Yeah, so with that, a lot of people, the traditional way is, they can use it to, get a degree, into a career that they would like to enter. But with our program and what we're trying to implement and adopt is through the Department of Veterans Affairs, they can choose a drone that will match the career that they want to go into in the drone industry. So if it's for mapping, they would be able to select a drone that is RTK enabled. They would be able to incorporate all of their drone mapping training into our Skyhawk pathway program. They would get their exam fee reimbursed if they pass on the first try. Everything would be included, and then we would also provide along the way mentorship of like you said, Andy, is what happens next after I pass my 107. So um
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's still in the in the early stages. Like I said, I started my company back in July, so
Okay.
we got a long way to go, but I'm really overwhelmed at the amount of support that the drone industry has shown me, even as a new pilot. I mean, I have about 40 hours currently, flying a drone, but everybody that's willing to, help and assist, and, all these, drone companies that are willing to support the veteran community, it's just really, it's a really great experience.
So talk about some of the other that you mentioned, like that they'll reimburse you for the exam fee. They'll help you buy equipment. What's a resource for vets to look at? They come to you for that to be pointed to those resources, or where do they go to find out all these resources that are available, and how do they apply for them?
Yeah, yeah.
What are some of the resources?
Absolutely. So, right now, one thing about my company is that, currently there is no set kind of program out there like this. So, it takes a lot of heavy lifting, and I'm willing to do that to kind of, make this a program that a veteran can select versus, having to go through a 2 year, 4 year degree program when all they want to do is fly drones and, and make a good living from it.
Okay. So there's So you can point them in the direction of how to get reimbursed for the exam fee. If they want to get if they want to get a drone, you're saying there's money available for them that you can get access to in order to buy their first piece of equipment.
That's right. Yeah. So, when I started my company, I purchased, a DJI Mini 4 just to, start training. I didn't know, and then, after about a month of flying that, I realized, I need to invest more into my business. I need to, so I upgraded to a Mavic 3. And then eventually, my career in the drone industry interests lie in thermal. So, I went out and I purchased the Mavic 3 thermal drone, and I would like to learn and know more about how to get into like thermal inspections, power line inspections, cell tower inspections. So, with me being a veteran, I kind of see what would I want in a program that I can take advantage of. So, that's kind of like what inspired this company, and inspired the idea of somebody like myself, having access to GI Bill. I can get a drone that I can take with me into my career, whether I want to get into mapping, thermal, or just even doing any type of like videography or cinematography. That drone would be specific to the career path that I chose.
Got it. Um, what was your first drone? A DJ 4 Mini 4?
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So, like drones are so expensive, and for somebody that's not, at the time not as knowledgeable as I am now, I think I spent $1,000, to get my Mini 4. I bought 3 batteries. I purchased a landing pad, a whole bunch of charging stations. So, in the program that we plan to, roll out to the Department of Veterans Affairs, this would be a complete package that would be provided through their GI Bill benefits. So
Got it. We always tell people not to overspend, not to don't
yeah,
get crazy with your first drone. What are your thoughts on kind of a good first drone or good starting point?
as I started with the Mini 4, I just took a natural liking to wanting to improve and get better. So, I did start with the Mini 4, but then I wanted something that took better pictures. So when I upgraded to the Mavic 3, I obstacle avoidance was something I wanted to like, as I was taking videos of like cell towers and practicing water towers in my neighborhood. I saw that I needed something with an obstacle avoidance system, because of like you have power lines, you have things in the way. So so I would say, with our company, just start off small, get the feeling and log your hours. So, another thing that a professional in the drone industry told me was the most important thing you could do is buy yourself a logbook and manually log your hours. So I've been doing that, and thank you.
Yeah.
To He knows who he is, hopefully he'll be watching this one day.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about how you kind of see a partnership developing. I know we just met over the last few months through Hannah at my office, and
Right.
how are you seeing kind of a partnership between your company and Drone Brothers kind of unfolding, and how do we work together going forward?
Yeah, no, I love the opportunity to, with everything, infrastructure being built in the United States, I see that there's an increase in, they're going to be building data centers. So there's going to be, a contract out there. And I'd love to employ a veteran only workforce, that can kind of get that job done, with the proper training and support. I would love, to align with Drone Brothers, because being a newcomer, I was kind of, I didn't know who the go-to people were in this industry. So, as I reached out to Drone Brothers, I mean, you guys were great, and in just providing the support, and I learned so much, from our calls, and the more talks that we have, I'm learning to kind of approach things more on a professional type of level.
Yeah, and we've got the network now. Not all of our pilots obviously are veterans. Our chief pilot Tony comes from the Navy and has been working for us for as a veteran, been working for us for a number of years. And
Right.
whenever we always try to when we find pilots in local markets where we don't have coverage, we always try to find a veteran's kind of our first choice because of
Yeah.
Tony's background. So yeah, I see a great partnership between you getting the work and us being able to help fulfill some of the work because we've got the network built
That's
up
right.
across the country too.
Yeah, and one thing about the GI Bill is, like, as I was, looking up the research and the statistics, the top 3 states that are, people are using their GI Bill is California, Texas, and Florida. And in the drone industry, these are like the areas that, need, drone, services the most. So, I feel like if we can reach, if we can deploy this pathway program out to the veterans, I feel like we can get more Part 107 pilots certified, which would lower the veteran unemployment rates, and then also just kind of have a more safer way for people to deal with their stress levels and combat related illnesses and PTSD. I just feel like this is a healthy way to for people to get outside more, and then they can also connect and share with other veteran groups, like, hey, yeah, I took this Skyhawk veteran pathway program, and the word's going to get out because like when you're doing positive in the community, people want to know, all right, yeah, like, yeah, I want to be a part of that too. And that's why I really appreciate you, Andy, for, like, having a platform like this to, to talk about what we plan to do.
Perfect. Talk about, you want to talk about some of the section the work that's out there. So talk about like the Section 8 work that's available to
Yeah.
veteran owned business, because there's a big opportunity there for you to pull for work as well.
That's right. Yeah. So, I just enrolled our company in the DoD Department of Defense Skill Bridge program. So part of that program is where, a transitioning service member, they're a few months away from, coming back into civilian life, and we can kind of show them, you know, the industry of, what they plan to, where they plan to enter. Yeah. So, I'm registered, to in the federal contracting industry with SAM.gov. So we have a UEI number. We're in the process of getting our case code uh, and things like that. So yeah, we'll be ready soon. But yeah, there are set aside contracts. I'd like to educate the audience, and you can start an LLC and you can go after set aside contracts that are allocated for small businesses that are veteran owned.
I don't know. Nice. So you talk about the people coming out of the military to the private sector. Do you have any stats as far as kind of number of vets every year that are coming out of the military? Are there
Yeah. Yeah.
hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands? What give me some idea of numbers.
Sure. So, the number is growing. So I would say in FY24, I believe the number was like 230,000 veterans or military members transition into back into civilian life. So, yeah. So
So
it's a big number.
so quarter million people are leaving them in 2024, are leaving the military, coming back to, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, like I said, 38% of these veterans don't utilize their GI Bill benefits, and they become a statistic where they fall into a category of they might be unemployed, coming into civilian life, trying to find their way into back into society. And like I said, I myself, I came out in 2006, and I had a hard time adjusting back into civilian life due to what I experienced just a few months ago in a combat zone.
Okay. So you're saying 38% of them don't even know. So 60% of them know about, roughly 60% know, and 40%, it's almost half the vet population doesn't even know about
That's right.
this money that's available to them. So
Yeah.
either go back to school for a 2-year or 4-year program, or if they don't want to do that, what you're proposing, learn how to do something like the faster track to
That's
this is
right.
get a drone and start a drone business.
Yeah, and then the average cost per year that the GI Bill pays out per veteran is about $16,000. And one thing that I noticed was, I mean, that's a pretty safe number where a veteran can get a drone of their choice. They can receive their training. They can receive exam reimbursement, just as a one-time fee. So this would actually save money, where the veteran didn't need to use all of their benefits just to go into a degree program, only to probably go into another industry. So
Okay.
I felt like at a one-time cost, like $16,000 would be a safe bet for somebody to get a drone, get certified, and eventually find suitable and gainful employment through a company like Drone Brothers.
Beautiful. You talked about some partnerships? I think you mentioned a Wounded Warrior. What other groups are you partner with, or what other opportunities are there to kind of help you spread this word
Sure.
faster?
Yeah. So, one thing, I'm still meeting, a lot of people. The Semper Fi Fund is a great resource, that I found, where they're currently going to enter into an apprenticeship program to kind of mold me into a better, I don't have an MBA, I don't have a business degree, or, kind of an entrepreneur background. So for me, this is a way for me to kind of sharpen my skills, to become a better professional, and how to approach, certain business, type of, you know revenue streams.
Are there other groups that you're partnered with or looking to partner with?
Yeah. So, with Drone Brothers, really excited about that. We also, met with a few drone training providers. I feel that Drone U is a great company that kind of understands what we're trying to accomplish, and yeah, they're willing to work on a way where we can kind of like build and adopt this Skyhawk Veteran Pathway program. They're really motivated to provide us with the resources to provide this drone training to a lot of our veterans.
So they've built out companies like Drone U have built out training programs already geared towards getting your Part 107, and they can help private label this or make this something that's veteran specific training
That's
for
right. Yep.
you.
And it'll allow me, it give me like an administrator, so I kind of have a better hands-on where I can log in, I can see who's, how far along they're going in their training, who's testing out quicker. And with this data, I could be able to provide more accurate numbers as we start to scale and grow. And then I can eventually, get it to the Department of Veterans Affairs, where I think we have something here. I think we have something that can really change, how veterans are transitioning out of the military.
Nice. A question I was going to ask you was, what is your degree? You take advantage of the GI Bill and get a college? You went back to
I did.
college?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, I got out of the military in 2006. I used my GI Bill benefits. I have a bachelor's degree in organizational security management. And then after that, I took a graduate program at George Mason University for intelligence programs. So, my background, like I said, don't have a business background. I just really have a passion to, kind of help others, and, also, just learn a new skill, because, like I said in the beginning, I've worked for the federal government for about 18 years now, and it's just not the safest place to be anymore. I'm currently a contractor. The contract that I'm on is scheduled to end in a few months. So, I'm kind of, trying to see what the next chapter of my life and my career is going to consist of.
Well, it looks like you're going down the right path. I mean, the drone space is a good area to be in. You got a good plan there. So we can't wait to support you and help you spread the word across the country. So
That's right.
very
And,
exciting.
like, as even, the founder and CEO of the company, I like to, learn by doing. So, I even signed up as a pilot, on your platform. So, I want to take those drives. I want to get that hands-on training, so I can, have a cohort where I can do in-person trainings and get everybody together. Everybody brings a drone, and, we can kind of like tell stories about, our experience in the military, and how you can kind of connect with others. So it's just a real therapeutic way that I really, feel like it's just something that I need to be doing.
You're creating community. That's what it's all about, trying to create community.
I feel like, this is something, that I really want to see, help other people. And, if there was a program like this where I can be a drone pilot, I can get access to training, and ultimately start my own business, and a career in, in a totally unfamiliar space, and be successful at it. I feel like this is something that somebody should, start for people.
No, you're doing it. So that's hats off to you for taking the step and doing it. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. Where do you see things kind of in the future for drones? Are there anything you're kind of keeping your eye on as far as technology? I know you said the thermal is something you want to get into. Anything else in that where you see kind of the future of drones going?
Yeah, I just, whether it's, delivering packages for Amazon or delivering pizzas or, inspecting power lines. I mean, you know, the possibilities are endless because now we have 5G towers, so somebody has to go out there. The wind turbines, I guess it all depends on what type of individual is willing to learn more about the industry. I just feel like it's really like in the beginning stages of where it's going to go. But it's an exciting industry for me to be a part of. I look forward to, like, always learning and always improving. So
Yeah, we chose construction as kind of our
mhm.
flag in the ground of we wanted to control that space, but there's opportunities in solar and wind turbine inspections and agricultural and even like the delivery stuff. You still need to have pilots standing by in case something goes wrong. Amazon just started delivering actually right in our area. We just saw a local news story that they're within 5 miles of the what's called Pontiac, Michigan. Amazon, they're launching drones now.
Yeah.
You need drone pilots to be in charge of that stuff. So
Well, yeah, I mean, even an industry like delivering medicine, somebody, yeah, I just think of, like the what ifs, somebody gets bit by, a poisonous snake, and, they can kind of drop in like something
mm,
that can
yep.
save somebody's life. I'm really excited to see like what this company can be. And, the fact that I can kind of give back and pay forward the opportunity of, helping other people and creating jobs. And I keep saying it, but I wish there was something like this because I felt like I would have chose a different career path when I exited the military.
Where do you see things now and the kind of the future for veterans as far as drones? And we all hear about stories of what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and
Yeah,
everything is that whole fight's being done with drones. Are we getting close to the point where we're not gonna have to send our boys and girls into the field in the future? That drones and robots are gonna take
yeah.
over, and we're not gonna have veterans in the next few years, hopefully.
That's right. And, this is another thing, drone warfare is going to shape, how we fight wars, around the world. And just, having like somebody like, a military member or a veteran that is, behind that controller, kind of keeping us safe, like securing the borders and, keeping, adversaries away from, harming people, to fight terrorism. I just feel like you can kind of pick, how you want to, take support your country. Just because you leave the military doesn't mean that you never stop serving. And I
Yeah,
feel like, this company is a way for me to, even without the uniform, to continue to serve others.
yeah. But do you see a time where we don't have that? Are we years away or decades away from that the next war that happens that we're not going to be sending tens of
Right.
thousands of physical troops in, that we're gonna just send in drones to solve the problem?
Yeah, I think it's always evolving, and then even AI. I mean, it's like in the beginning stages, and I mean, I can't even. The more I watch, the more I read about how AI is like changing everything. I mean, even war. Yeah, I'm just sitting back, just like everybody else, looking forward to you know how this is all going to play out.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Well, um, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time today to chat with me. We're really looking forward to working with you guys in the future and building out a nationwide program for you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
anything we can ever help with, do not hesitate to lean on us, and Hannah will keep moving things forward.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Andy, for the opportunity for me to, kind of talk about the business and, how we plan to, continue to grow and scale. And we appreciate all your support.